DM Dongo here with another review from the DM's Guild. This time we're looking at 66 magical items in Lledrith Wagons. I'm guessing she has a lot of junk in that trunk. "66 Magical Items from Lledrith Wagon" by Kristen Eichhorn, currently on sale in the DM's Guild for $2.95. Well, what is this? You are looking at a collection of 66 magical items. It's pretty self-explanatory from that. You're also getting the stories that go along with those magical items, though. So each one includes a history blurb about where the magical item came from, maybe some of its more grandiose adventures about how it came into being and how it came into legend, and maybe how some of the ones that are sentient gained their sentience or had their intelligence imbued into them. So it's all of that kind of stuff. In addition to that, you get Lledrith herself, along with a couple of little teaser starting points for adventures that you can kind of build off of. And that's kind of the best part about this. The entire thing is like, well, here's like an interesting item. How do you build an adventure around it? How do you do something interesting? And I'm going to go over my 5 favorites, though. So, the top 5 items that I loved in this whole collection, 66 items. The first of which is the Gold Ass. The Gold Ass is a donkey that produces gold at a rate of 10 D100 per day via excrement. It has a recharge of 6. Now, I love the story behind this as well. The story goes that there was a king named Lledrith, and he was a cruel lord who pressed his subjects for even more and more taxes. Eventually, he got his comeuppance, as all of these ancient cruel kings are wont to do. He cursed him to turn him into a donkey that would produce gold rather painfully, and eventually when he paid back all his subjects, they kicked him out, slapped a sign on his ass, and sent him on his way. And that's where you find him in Lledrith Wagon. Why she's not using the donkey herself is kind of left up to the DM to decide, but there we go. The next of which is Remfry's End. Now this is the first of the sentient magic items, and there are a couple in here, but I really like the idea behind sentient magic items in general. They're a great way of kind of adding and introducing an NPC that doesn't necessarily require a whole lot of effort from the DM. It means that the DM can have a voice in the game and kind of maybe guide a player or a group of players in a way that is a little less heavy-handed than any other ways. It's a little bit harder to get rid of when that magic sword is talking at you than just dump that NPC off a cliff or whatever. Well, that magical sword is actually really powerful. And I like the story behind Remfry's End. Remfry's End is all about redemption and trying to be kind of better than you were. And Remfry wants to redeem himself in the eyes of Tyr. And basically you go on this grand quest to kind of fix what he did wrong. I'll let you kind of go there. The next one is Nagarani's Comb. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. The pronunciation's a little funky in my mouth, but I think that's close enough. But what it is it's a comb, and to attune to this, it has an unusual attunement. You must comb your hair for 7 straight days. And while you're doing so, your hair grows in 3 feet during this time. And I didn't mispronounce that or get that wrong. That's 3 feet. That's that long. That's a lot of hair. But the story goes that Nagarani was a street urchin who grew up on the streets, and he was unusually gifted with avoiding blows and not getting hit by bolts of arrows. And it was said that his hair protected it. In this case, it's true. Using a bonus action, you can have your hair protect you for 1 hour, and you gain half cover from range attacks, and your AC is raised by 1. Nagarani's tomb is basically hair control. It lets you control your hair to protect yourself. Number 4 is Wynn's Puzzle Box. Now this one I really like just for the concept of it. The story is still good, but I like the concept of it. Essentially what you do is you have a puzzle, and you go and you set the DC randomly, so you roll a d20 and you add 4. And then you roll an intelligence checks, and the box will transform into any non-magical item of your choice no larger than a common cow. This is really great for players who like thinking up interesting solutions to problems and interesting ways of utilizing this. This is basically kind of like the illusionist wet dream. I can make anything up to the size of a cow. Okay, what do I make? It's giving a player free reign to do whatever they want. So here you go. Here's a nice big sandbox to play in. It's a little mini sandbox, but it's there for them. It's great to see those kinds of items. So the final one I like is not a single one, but a group of them. They're all categorized as the sin items, basically. Essentially, each item has just the one-word title for its name. So like greed, sloth, envy, lust, pride, wrath. The 7 deadly sins, essentially. And I really like the concept behind them. Essentially, a mad mage cursed a whole crapload of items and sent them out because he's a nut job. Because that's what he does. But I really like the idea of these items that exist in the world that kind of, they're not terribly powerful, but they're powerful enough that kind of, they might get a reputation behind them. Finally, what did I like about this? Well, I love the stories behind them. I love the fact that every single item carries with it a little bit of history, a little bit of lore to kind of guide you and get you into the game, to make you, as a player or a DM, feel like these items are grounded in a world that actually exists, rather than just, here's a +1 sword, here you go. It feels better. It feels more like these items are sitting in the back of a wagon that's traveling the countryside, which is the whole point. The whole concept behind Ljedrith Wagon is it's a recurring adventure. She'll show up occasionally and give you a couple of items and show off some of the other ones, and she might even show off like an ultra rare one at the very beginning and say, well, look at that one. That's 50,000 gold. You can't afford that yet, but look at it. It's shiny, and you want that, don't you? You want to come back for that. That was owned by Sir Remfrey. It seeks to redeem himself after he slayed his own family in cold blood. It's that kind of stuff that I really love. I really like the whole concept of each of these magical items having this tie to a world, to give DMs and GMs the ability to kind of go back and say, well, can I use that magical item as like a major story arc? Well, yeah. The sin items are really great for this because there's 7 of them. A 7-setted item always sounds interesting. And in fact, I would probably up their power scaling to give them more gravitas, more strength, and more danger attached to them. Maybe in conjunction with each other they do something different. Yes, there's the attunement lock, but maybe you waive that for these items. Maybe you change that slightly. The concept gives you a good starting point. In addition to that, I really loved some of the concepts of the items themselves. Like I said, the 5 items I mentioned, using your hair as a shield, creating a magical item that creates any mundane item you like. The golden ass is amusing if nothing else. And there's some other interesting ideas here as well that kind of span the breadth of concepts. Some are simple and mundane, like things like +1 swords with a slight hinkered or shape. But there are other ones like storms in a bottle where you can just chuck a storm and it lasts for weeks. There's some interesting things I could see people doing with these items. Things that might be, might break games, might not break games, might help players, might hinder players. There's everything in here will give you something to do, will give players thought. Will give players pause, which is kind of what you want. You want a magical item to feel magical. So, what didn't I like though? Well, there's not enough art for each of the items, and that's not a bad thing, really. There's 66 of this. Commissioning that much art for each of these magical items would have been a monumental cost, well above the cost of the anything you could ever hope to recoup from the actual cost of the adventure, the supplement itself. There was no way there was going to be able to. But it would have been nice to see maybe a couple extra ones. There are some in here. I think Remfrey's End has some art. There's a horn later on that has some art. But I would have loved to see things like maybe the golden ass would have been a nice thing to have as like a piece of art. It's a little weird, but that's kind of the thing you want to see. You want to see the little weird. You want to see what the little weird items look like because it gives you a better understanding of how they play out and kind of how they're grounded in the world. All of the descriptions are really good. All of that stuff is incredibly well done. Just extra the pictures, it might have been nice. It's not a major criticism because I understand why, but it's just something to be aware of if you're buying this. You're not getting the art, you're getting the stories. So, finally, for my rating, what do I give this? Well, I have to give it a 5. There's no reason not to. These are 66 magical items at $2.95. You are getting incredible value for your money, and there's no way I can give it anything less than that. The stories alone, along with paired with the items, along with the art that is presented, it's very well done. Everything in here is innovative, it's interesting, it's a great read. If you're a DM or a player, pick this up now. Right, thank you for watching. This has been DM Dongo. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you want to see more of these kind of things, more magical item stuff, or do you want to see more adventures? Do you want to see more character options? Thank you. Peace out.